You're listening to the Kirkintilloch Herald, a Q&Review recording service podcast, brought to you by our team of volunteers currently recording from their homes across Scotland. Whether you're listening via the BWBF online players, the telephone app, or our brand new Alexa skill, please phone us on 0141 772 3976 to feedback on what you want us to provide and improve upon. Please also join your family and friends in being our audio ambassadors and share our Facebook, Twitter and Instagram all at Q&Review. That's at symbol CUEANDREVIEW.
This week's Kirkintilloch and Bishopbriggs Herald podcast is read to you by me, Ian, Georgina and Corey. We do apologise for the lack of variety of voices in this edition. Lights to be reinstated. 5 years after traffic lights were taken away from a busy town centre junction as part of a controversial shared space scheme, they are to be returned. And this story is read to you today by myself, Ian. Lights to be reinstated. The newly formed SNP administration at Eastern Berkshire Council have confirmed their commitment to reinstate the traffic lights at Kirkintilloch's Catherine Street junction. The controversial shared space road design has attracted much criticism from road users and pedestrians since it was introduced in 2017, with some drivers and pedestrians feeling unsafe at the busy junction in the centre of town. Strathkelvin and Bearsden MSP Rona Mackay has welcomed the decision to bring back the traffic lights and said it is needed to attract people back into the town who have been avoiding it since the introduction of the road redesign 5 years ago. She said, "This is a very welcome decision indeed, and will be a relief to people, particularly the elderly and infirm, who have found negotiating this busy crossing just too daunting." Kirkintilloch Councillor Pamela Marshall added, "Shared space has to work for all, not just the most confident road users and pedestrians. The return of the traffic lights will reassure our most vulnerable residents. We are reshaping our town centre with our community at its heart, creating new spaces to socialise and help support local businesses recover from the pandemic." Provost Gillian Rennick said, "The previous administration avoided making a decision on the Catherine Street junction for 5 years, so it is with pride that the new SNP administration successfully got the council to pass the motion to reinstall the traffic lights in our first full meeting." At the meeting, held last month, Councillor Leader Gordon Lowe said the issue had been debated several times in recent years, each time resulting in deferments for further consultation. He said, "The options have been consulted on, modelled and remodelled, and I would suggest the council finally make a decision one way or the other." Councillor Lowe added that the public concern around the project had centred on vulnerable road users who feel the space is less usable following redevelopment, and this was why he had on 3 separate occasions moved for reintroduction of signalling. An independent accessibility study concluded the space was hostile for vulnerable pedestrians, especially visually impaired people, and recommended reintroducing traffic signals. However, Labour councillor Alan Moir said safety concerns were less to do with the layout of the junction rather than the behaviour of drivers. He said risks relating to traffic lights being reintroduced included longer queues and the possibility of drivers rushing to avoid red lights. At the meeting, Lib Dem councillor Susan Murray, who had rejected calls in the past for the lights to be returned, instead opting for more public consultation, also supported the reinstatement, pointing out the phasing of them could be adjusted to give pedestrians longer to cross if needed. Seconding Councillor Lowe, SNP Councillor Pamela Marshall said that although some drivers were courteous, others have been witnessed dismounting the curbs or refusing to slow down on approach to the junction. She said the lights would benefit visually impaired people especially, and as someone who expected to become a wheelchair user in future, she felt especially compelled to speak on behalf of disabled people. Tory Councillor Billy Henry said it would be remiss of the council to contravene the recommendations made by officers, especially when reconfiguring the junction would cost several £100,000. Last year, the previous administration ordered traffic modelling exercises. The recommendations were against reinstating the lights despite demand from local residents. After votes against amendments from Councillors Moore and Murray, It was Councillor Lowe's amended recommendations, including reinstating the traffic lights, which were agreed. This week in history. July the 6th, 1919, the British airship R-34 became the first across the Atlantic for Edinburgh to New York in 108 hours. On this day last year, ancient diamonds indicated Earth was primed for life's explosion at least 2.7 billion years ago, scientists said. July the 7th, 1967, using Sir Francis Drake's sword, the Queen knighted Francis Chichester, who had sailed solo around the world in Gypsy Moth IV. On this day last year, researchers behind the Oxford AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccine were recognised for their excellence at a healthcare awards ceremony. July the 8th, 1961, the first All-England women's singles final took place at Wimbledon between Christine Truman and Angela Mortimer, who won in 3 sets. July the 9th, 1955, Bill Haley and his Comets went to number 1 in the US pop charts with a Rock Around the Clock. On this day last year, people in the UK had sent more than 112 million tweets about COVID-19 since the beginning of 2020, Twitter revealed. July the 10th, 1962, Telstar 1, the world's first television communications satellite, was launched in America. July 11, 1950, puppets Andy Pandy, Teddy and Louie Lou first appeared on BBC television. The episodes were repeated for more than 25 years until the film began to wear out and Andy waved his last goodbye from the basket. Praise for climate aid. Report by Liz Gallagher. East Dunbartonshire MP Amy Callaghan has hailed the sustainability efforts of pupils and teachers at Turnbull High School. During a recent visit to the school, the local MP learned about several projects initiated by pupils and teachers, including issuing all first-year pupils with reusable water bottles and bags, building a food greenhouse with locally sourced materials, and maintaining allotment areas. Second-year pupils at the school have also designed a sustainability passport for all pupils to complete on their journey through the school years. This is a project Ms Callaghan said was deeply impressive and showed pupils ingenuity, creativity and talent. She added, "There have been efforts by the Scottish Government and third sector organisations to create a lasting legacy for last year's climate conference in Glasgow. My Climate Path is one such project, providing young people in East Dunbartonshire, Glasgow and Lanarkshire with a range of opportunities to learn from businesses that are taking demonstrable action towards tackling the climate challenge." This is not the first time that Ms Callaghan has championed the sustainability efforts of Turnbull High School. In November last year, she tabled a motion in Westminster congratulating the school on winning the Learning for Sustainability Community Award presented by Education Scotland. Commenting, Amy Callaghan MP said, "Young people have been at the forefront of demands to take back the climate to tackle the climate emergency. They recognise need for urgent action and they see how small changes can make a big difference. I was so impressed with all the projects going on at Turnbull High School and with the ingenuity, creativity and talent of the young people. This is a school that has embraced the legacy of COP26 and is delivering on the requirements of the curriculum to take a whole school approach to the sustainability issues. Pupils and teachers should be proud of their efforts. They are setting a positive example for a wider community in East Dunbartonshire." And that report was by Liz Gallagher. Mast approved. Councillors have granted planning approval for the replacement of a telecommunications mast at an industrial site in Bishopbriggs. Mobile infrastructure company Cornerstone applied for permission to proceed with an upgrade to their existing site at 11 Lancaster Road. The upgraded station will have a total height of 22.5 metres, including antennae. The previous height was 18.6 metres. The original mast will be removed. At East Dunbartonshire's Council Planning Board, Councillor Stuart MacDonald said there was a similar mast in his ward of Kirkintilloch East and North and Twecker, and officers had to deal with objections by reducing the height of the mast. However, he was informed that this mast was in keeping with the relevant local policies, so no change could be reasonably requested. Pond event will get you buzzing. Does the thought of learning more about wildlife in your local area give you the butterflies? If it does, then an upcoming event at Whitefield Pond in Lennoxtown could get you really buzzing. Staff from Butterfly Conservation will be there between 1:30pm and 3:30pm on Friday, 15th of July, to introduce you to the wonderful world of the butterflies, bees, and other beasties making their home in the native wildflower meadows. You can drop into the event at any time without booking. There will also be a guided tour at 2pm. You can secure your place by booking in advance at www.butterfly-conservation.org, but you may be able to join in on the day if there are spare spaces. Everything is completely free to take part in. This event is open to all and is suitable for adults and children of any age, including children under 16 to be accompanied by an adult. The meadow at the Whitefield Pond can be accessed through the gates at Cross Hill Street, Lennoxtown. Anthony McCluskey from Butterfly Conservation said, "Last year's event was such a success we decided to bring it back. The meadow at Whitefield Pond is an amazing place for wildlife like butterflies and bees. They all depend upon the rich diversity of wildflowers here." Councillor Paul Ferretti said, "The council is committed to promoting biodiversity and providing pollen and nectar for a wide range of insects such as bees and butterflies." Road accidents drop in area. Fewer people were killed or injured on Eastern Bartonshire's roads in 2021 than in the year before the pandemic, new figures show. The coronavirus pandemic saw road casualties drop across Great Britain as drivers stayed at home during the lockdowns, but charities have warned the government must do more to tackle injuries from traffic accidents. Provisional figures from the Department for Transport suggest there were 48 road casualties in Eastern Bartonshire in 2021, a drop from 57 the year before, and fewer than 100 in 2019. The same number of people were killed on the area's roads last year. One person died in both years. Meanwhile, 14 serious injuries were recorded, an increase in the year before, when 13 people were badly hurt. Overall, across Great Britain, there were 127,967 road casualties in 2021, an 11% rise in the year before, while 1,560 people were killed. Of those who died, 686 were car users, but 363 pedestrians and 299 motorcyclists were also killed. The number of pedocyclists who lost their lives on the road dropped from 20% from 141 in 2020 to 113 last year. Commenting on the Department for Transport's figures, Mark Turner, Chief Executive of the Road Victims Trust, said, "It remains a terrible fact that 4 people will be killed on the roads of the UK each day. Many more will suffer life-changing injuries. The devastation and trauma caused by these collisions is immense, and it is disturbing to see a climb in casualties." Council meetings. Eastern Bartonshire Council is moving towards introducing a hybrid system for meetings which will allow councillors to choose whether to attend meetings in person or virtually by using the internet. Since March 2020, almost all business has been confined to video conference calls, with live streams on the council's YouTube channel. The Tom Johnson Chamber at the council's Kirkintilloch headquarters was the main venue for council meetings prior to the pandemic, but it is a long, narrow room, unsuited to any physical distancing requirements. Hybrid meetings combine both approaches, with participants having the option of travelling to the chamber or joining meetings remotely. The move to hybrid meetings was agreed at the recent meeting of the full council.
P6 pupils are a class act. A team of P6 pupils at Miller's Nook Primary in Lenzie did their school proud in the recent prestigious Euroquiz competition at the Scottish Parliament Debating Chamber. The Miller's Nook team had earned their place at the national finals by winning the Eastern Bartonshire Heats in March after 2 nail-biting tiebreakers. The final event saw 29 school teams take part, with Miller's Nook coming in an impressive joint 4th place. The result was well deserved as the children had worked extremely hard and were well supported by their fellow P6 pupils and teachers. Euroquiz is run by the Scottish European Educational Trust. Plea to Save Libraries. Article by Neil McGrory. Read today by myself, Georgina. An online petition against North Lanarkshire Council's decision to scrap school librarian jobs surpassed 1,000 signatures in just 2 days. Started by Andrea Olukutan, the petition reads, quote, "Imagine our young people reading for pleasure. It aids mental health, reduces stress, and directly improves exam results. All proven facts. NLC's policy to abolish school librarians is an assault on our young people reaching their potential. The human cost of this cost-cutting exercise is unacceptable. Reading for pleasure, as you know, is directly correlated with increasing academic attainment. Teachers cannot backfill this position. They are not professional librarians, they do not have the time to retrain, they do not have the knowledge, and the job entails so much more than stamping out novels. Meteoric groundbreaking inflation is hitting all our purses, and quite simply buying books is a luxury very few can continue to afford. It is fundamentally discriminating against our less affluent neighbours. Many working families are already being driven to food banks and uniform banks. Books offer an escape, knowledge, and unlock a child's potential. We must fight to save school librarians. Like all of you, I know that our school librarian has implemented numerous initiatives to engage pupils in reading, and the knowledge she has is well beyond the scope of parents and teachers. She can recommend books to all of the children, and they are enthused about reading. NLC have been quick to promote the fact that some schools have recently attained reading school status. It is interesting that they are now cutting our cherished librarians. Other councils are retaining their librarians. So must NLC. When it comes to reading and literacy, we don't need platitudes, we need the right people, librarians. Libraries are so much more than just a place to read. They are a safe space for many vulnerable children, and often house a variety of lunchtime clubs and/or Future Friday activities. I implore you to take on this cause, as it truly will have a detrimental impact on our young people if it is not overturned. Please, sign and share widely." End quote. The petition can be found at www.change.org/p/saveschoollibrarians. Article by Neil McGrory.
New project aims to curb underage drinking. Report by Liz Gallagher. A new community alcohol partnership, CAP, has been launched in East Bartonshire after residents voiced their concerns about underage drinking in the area. The new partnership will cover local towns and villages around Kirkintilloch, Bishopbriggs, Bearsden, Milngavie, Lennoxtown, Torrance, Milton of Campsie and Twaker. Its aim is to highlight the risks of underage drinking, improve the health and well-being of local young people, and enhance the communities where they live. A high percentage, over 50%, of residents reported that they considered issues associated with young people drinking to be a big or fairly big problem. Some 37% of residents reported that they had witnessed young people drinking alcohol in the street during the past 7 days. Over 500 young people aged 13 to 17 took part in a further survey in which 35% said that they drank alcohol at least once a week. Almost 20% of respondents indicated they had been drunk at least once in the last 4 weeks. Just under 20% said they are given alcohol by their parents or relatives, and a further 9% said they had been given alcohol by friends. CAPs are made to be partnerships between local authorities, police, schools, retailers, neighbourhood groups and health providers, working together to prevent alcohol-related harm to young people and to improve the quality of life for residents. The CAP will work with youth services and local organisations to provide alcohol-free leisure and sports activities for young people. It will also work with local schools to take a proactive approach to alcohol education. Police Chief Inspector John Mingus said, "I am delighted to see the community coming together in this new CAP to help young people make better choices around alcohol and reduce the harm it causes to them and the communities where they live. We are continuing to work together with key partners to get alcohol-free evening activities up and running. Ian Lovey, Licensing Compliance Manager at Scotland, said, "As a responsible retailer, Scotland is delighted to support CAP and help reduce underage drinking and antisocial behaviour linked to alcohol." MSE praises Pub of the Year. Report by Liz Gallagher. Strathkelvin and Bears then MSP Rona Mackay has congratulated an establishment which has scooped the award for Best Pub in Eastern Bartonshire at the UK-wide National Pub Awards 2022. The Stables Pub at Kirkintilloch has also won the regional title of Pub of the Year at the Scottish Hospitality Awards. The local MSP met management team Stuart Brand and Sophie Clark at the stables to hand over a framed copy of the motions he submitted to Parliament to acknowledge the success of the popular inn, which sits on the banks of the Forth and Clyde Canal. Ms Mackay said, "It was an absolute pleasure to present Stuart and Sophie with their celebratory motion. It is clear that all staff at the stables work as a team and are highly valued for their excellent ethos of providing great food and service to customers from far and wide. In addition to providing a wonderful ambience, I particularly love that dogs are especially welcome at the stables, and dog walkers regularly stop in for refreshment as they finish their canal walk. I cannot praise the stables highly enough." Manager Stuart Brand said, "We were delighted with this prestigious award and to receive the acknowledgement from our local MSP. This award is testament to the hard work of all our staff and their dedication to providing a great service to customers. We look forward to another busy summer." The Scottish Hospitality Awards are a celebration of the success of local professionals and our venues, and the winners are chosen by the public, which means the stables have been given a rousing endorsement by its regular clientele. The elegant event was hosted by radio presenter Gina Mackey. She presented 32 awards to the deserving winners, acknowledging them for their hard work. A spokesperson for the Scottish Hospitality Awards 2020 said, "The awards have acknowledged some incredible individuals who make a positive difference to the hospitality industry. It was great to meet with inspiring people that go above and beyond to meet their guests' needs." Homes proposal rejected. Plans to build 12 homes at a site in Robroyston have failed to gain planning permission. Greenfield land in Robroyston, between Hillhead Road and Brookfield Housing Estate, had been earmarked for the development. Under the proposals designed by Convery Prenti Architects, there were to be 6 two-storey, 3-bed semi-detached houses and 6 detached 4-bedroom homes. A report by Glasgow City Council planners stated, "The proposal will result in the loss of a greenfield site and will not result in the reuse of vacant and derelict land. In addition, the proposal will not protect or enhance the function of the integrity of the city's green infrastructure, as it will result in the loss of a protected amenity open green space." It added, "This site is a protected open space. The applicant has not made a case for why the presumption against development in open space should be set aside in this instance." Defibrillator rollout. Not just saving lives at sea. By Morag Cook. Life-saving defibrillators have been put in some of the most remote UK communities thanks to HM Coast Guard, allowing them to save more lives than ever. Automatic external defibrillators, AEDs, have been put in HM Coast Guard's vehicles and at stations, creating the largest geographical spread of all emergency services. It means extra life-saving capability at emergencies and helps to fill some critical gaps to bring access to AEDs for people in the UK's most remote communities. Nearly 500 AEDs are now available in Her Majesty's Coast Guard's emergency response and support vehicles, coastal officer and divisional commander vehicles, and all its rescue coordination centres. And AEDs are also in all other buildings belonging to the Maritime and Coast Guard Agency, including marine offices around the UK, adding extra protection for employees in the event of heart-related ill health at work. Dr. Paddy Morgan, HM Coast Guard's Medical Director, said that the introduction of AEDs can help people in local communities as well as for coastal incidents. Minutes really do matter in the event of a cardiac arrest, and having rapid access to an AED can make a significant difference to the chances of someone going home to their loved one or not, he said. Working with our partners and other emergency services, we have become an integral part of the network that reduces the time to effective defibrillation for people in our communities in an emergency. Chief Coast Guard of Her Majesty's Coast Guard, Peter Mitson, added, "For over 200 years, our aim has been to keep people safe at the coast and out at sea, and looking after those around us as well as our own people, and it's intrinsic to that. As the National Maritime Emergency Service, we have a wider role to play as part of local communities, often in remote and rural locations, where we provide essential support for our emergency services partners. By carrying them in our vehicles, it also means they're immediately on hand for our teams who may come across emergencies on their regular safety patrols and when we attend public events. There are over 30,000 out-of-hospital cardiac arrests, OHCA, every year in the UK, with only 1 in 10 people surviving an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest. HM Coast Guard's specification for the AEDs includes systems which reduce the liability associated with incorrect administration of treatment associated with older technology. They are designed to only shock when the correct medical conditions are present. They come with electrode pads, which can be used in adults and children of 8 years and above, and paediatric pads for younger children. Coast Guard rescue teams train regularly, and the use of an AED is covered in the Coast Guard Emergency Responder Casualty Care CERCC training programme. A lifesaver. An automated external defibrillator AED is a portable life-saving device that can give casualties' heart an electric shock when it has stopped beating normally in a sudden cardiac arrest. A defibrillator works by checking the casualty's heart rhythm once the defibrillator pads are placed in their chest and giving them a shock if needed. Defibrillators can be used in adults or children over 1 year old. By using a defibrillator before an ambulance arrives, you can significantly increase someone's chance of survival. Every year, around 55 out of every 100,000 people experience an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest, with most occurring in the home or workplace.
Rehabilitation Programme Gets the Green Light by Morag Cooke. A new national development programme aimed at reshaping rehabilitation services for people living with long-term conditions, including people impacted by COVID-19, has been given the green light by the Scottish Government. The Scotland-wide programme is developed by the Scottish Government and the Thistle Foundation, a leading Scottish health and well-being charity that supports people with long-term health conditions. The programme will support the Once for Scotland rehabilitation approach, which aims to make rehabilitation more accessible to everyone who needs it and enable the redesign of a wide range of community-based services. Working in collaboration with organisations across NHS Scotland, health and social care partnerships and the third sector, Thistle Foundation will offer early adopters, services and teams support to reshape rehabilitation services. This will include early intervention to ensure that more people get the rehabilitation and self-management support they need sooner and closer to home. Mark Houlihan, CEO of the Thistle Foundation, said, quote, "At Thistle, people are at the heart of what we do. This programme is about more than supporting people with their physical health. It is about supporting people to be connected within their communities, to feel confident and resilient. It is about thriving rather than just surviving. By situating rehabilitation within the person's community, with support from friends, family and the community around them, people will feel more empowered to lead and manage their situation and remain as independent as possible." End quote. Health Secretary Husma Yousaf said, quote, "We are pleased to be able to support this important work by the Thistle Foundation, which fits with our Once for Scotland rehabilitation approach. Our approach focuses on enabling individuals to access person-centred rehabilitation based on their individual needs. In doing so, we hope to make rehabilitation more accessible for all." End quote. The programme will launch across Scotland by late summer, with Thistle Foundation working with NHS boards, health and social care partnerships, and third sector organisations. Article by Morag Cook. COVID rates rise. COVID rates across the UK are on the rise and are at their highest level for months, according to statistics. According to the ZOE COVID study incidence figures, in total there are currently 285,507 new daily symptomatic cases of COVID in the UK on average, a continued increase of 27% from 225,464 reported the previous week. The UK R value is estimated to be around 1.1, and regional R values are as follows: England 1.1, Wales 1.2, and Scotland 1.1. On average, 1 in 21 people in the UK currently have symptomatic COVID. Professor Tim Spector, scientific co-founder of ZOE, said, quote, "The only good news is that the symptoms are still mild, with fewer deaths than in the earlier waves, though worryingly the number of hospitalizations is rapidly increasing. I'd still advise people to protect themselves by wearing masks in crowded areas." End quote.
New EV charging system for Scotland's drivers by Morag Cook. A new one-card system that allows EV drivers to connect to Scotland's charging network is currently being piloted. A much-needed roaming platform has been devised which will allow access and billing across multiple charging systems. It will be trialled at this week's Great British EV Rally that sets off from John O'Groats to Land's End. The platform, which has been supported by Transport Scotland, is expected to be rolled out across the UK soon. In what could be the first step in a long-term partnership with Charge Place Scotland, CPS, the new PAUA platform enables private and business EV drivers to access multiple Scottish charging networks from Lerwick to Berwick via a single solution that can work anywhere. Chris Waldron, Head of Low Carbon Consumers at Transport Scotland, stated, "We are delighted to have entered this partnership with PAUA. The Scottish Government is firmly committed to transport decarbonisation, and we see roaming as a key step in improving driver experience. The GB EV Rally is the perfect event for trialling network roaming across Charge Place Scotland. We look forward to building on this experience and enabling wider interoperability in future." PAL is the largest independent EV roaming network and developers, modernising fuel cards for business operators. Electric vehicle drivers today face a challenge when they want to charge on multiple networks, as they need to contact each other separately, said Niall Riddle, CEO and founder of PAUA, and this is a particular problem for business and fleet drivers. The new charge point system has been welcomed by the Electric Vehicle Association Scotland, whose director Neil Swanson said, "Making the EV charging and billing process for drivers simple to understand and easy to operate is essential for both the day-to-day and user experience from practical perspective when it comes to cross-system connectivity and billing. These are the key factors in persuading both the ordinary EV motorists and the fleet operators who are eager to make the transition to all electric transportation to do so. Having one-card solutions that allows charging across multiple networks is a real driver benefit." Community kitchen to help food poverty. A first for East Dunbartonshire, social enterprise community kitchen ramekin and rolling pin aims to address food injustice so that local people and communities have access to a healthy and acceptable diet for themselves and their families. Silver Stag Scotland, an established community interest company, has branched out by launching a professionally fitted community kitchen and cookery school. The kitchen and cookery school will provide professionally run experimental classes to local and international tourist markets. The revenue from this will fund a wide range of free community workshops to address food injustice so that local people have the opportunity to access a healthy and acceptable diet for themselves, whilst also considering the environmental challenges of the climate emergency, fuel poverty and food insecurity. The launch week saw the first groups attending the kitchen. Local parents and primary school kids came in for hands-on bakery workshops led by chefs from local enterprise Locavore. This was followed by 40 representatives from the third sector groups charities, schools, and community organisations from across Eastern Bartonshire and Glasgow who attended for the official launch. The kitchen has 8 cooking stations, a large central island, and has been designed to be disability accessible. Peter Jan, digital officer at Ramekin and Rolling Pin, said, "As the cost of living crisis grips the nation and the shameful dependence on food banks across the country continues to grow, we feel it is crucial to provide a safe and friendly place where people from all walks of life can get together and learn how to make delicious, healthy food from scratch." The launch week went exceptionally well. We've received unanimous support and praise across the board, from local primary schools to health and social care professionals to sustainable food activists. Ramekin and Rolling Pin has already started work linking in with local producers, growers and ethical suppliers to ensure that their cookery classes are focused on using organic, seasonal and locally sourced ingredients, and food waste is reduced to a minimum. The first classes start in July. Opinion. Let's talk. Kirkintilloch Herald letters page. Please send your letters via email to kirkyherald@jnscotland.co.uk and write letters in the subject field. Bishopbriggs Park tumble. 2 good Samaritans thanked for assistance. Sir, I would like to say a special thank you to the 2 good Samaritans who came to my aid when I took a tumble while out walking through Bishopbriggs Park. They called an ambulance and stayed with me until the paramedics arrived. The ambulance arrived quickly, and the handover at the Royal Infirmary A&E was quick as well. After an x-ray, it was found that I had fractured my hip. A place was found for me in the orthopaedic ward, and I had a full hip replacement 2 days later, and I am now well on the mend. But it all started with the care and consideration of the two good Samaritans, so thank you once again. Yours, etc., Eric. Shot by Holyrood's blocking of game-changed potato strain. Sir, a new strain of potatoes, containing as much vitamin C as lemons, has been developed by Scottish scientists at the James Hutton Institute, formerly the Scottish Crop Research Institute, SCRI, in Invergowrie, near Dundee. Crops of this potentially valuable and nutritious strain could be grown in the UK within 5 years. However, because the techniques used involve gene editing, the SNP government has said it will not allow such crops to be grown in Scotland. This ruling is in spite of researchers at the University of Edinburgh saying that Scotland will be left behind if it does not embrace it. Last week, on June 27, at the Royal Highland Show in Edinburgh, Alistair Jack, the Scottish Secretary, said, "The Scottish farmers want it, the National Farmers Union want it, Scottish food producers want it." Why should the results of this game-changing research work, carried out by Scottish scientists in Scotland, be rejected by a Scottish Parliament elected by the people of Scotland? Does our First Minister, along with our cohort of SNP and Green Ministers, realise they are blocking better nourishment to a hungry world? Or do they know something that our skilled Scottish scientists do not know? Yours, etc., Alison Innes, Doctor, address supplied. Convenient fall guy to shut down this scandal. Sir, the trial, verdict and sentencing of Ghislaine Maxwell for her role in the Epstein affair represents a travesty of justice, although not because she is innocent. She is not. This prosecution has carefully avoided the real core of the scandal, the blackmail of lawmakers and other leading figures in American society. A man of Jeffrey Epstein's wealth and lack of morals could have paid to discreetly indulge his passion for underage sex, and nobody would have been the wiser. Instead, he preferred to flaunt those young females in front of a lengthy list of important and influential guests at his New York apartment and on his private island. No doubt some of his visitors were too shrewd to fall into his web, but how many of the others were not sharp enough to see the trap? It is frankly unbelievable hundreds of leading Americans visited Jeffrey Epstein and none of them was tempted by the underage prostitutes. Nor is it believed that Epstein would have refrained from exploiting their behaviour so he could influence them and enrich himself. Ghislaine Maxwell is a convenient fall guy to close down this scandal, while those protecting those leading Americans who were compromised and exploited by Jeffrey Epstein. Yours, etc., Otto Inglis, by email. If you know of a holiday let, please let me know. Sir, on visiting Kirkintilloch last week by bus from Glasgow, I discovered the wealth of local tea rooms, supermarkets and local shops, as well as great cycle routes along the canal and advertised walking routes. The views are also pretty special. I went home to hunt for a holiday let and searched many popular sites, but could find nothing. I've since visited again, bought the newspaper, looked for adverts, but again I could find nothing. How does one find a base to enjoy the area? Any suggestions would be very welcome. Yours etc. Jean Hamilton by email. Action to build on forestry success by Morag Cook. A number of new actions to support the ongoing delivery of Scotland's forestry strategy will ensure forests and woodlands continue to deliver benefits for communities, the environment and the economy. Over the last 3 years, over 32,000 hectares of woodland have been created in Scotland, including more than 12,000 hectares of native woodland. Those woods are vital in fighting climate change and nature loss, whilst also strengthening our communities and economy. A new 3-year implementation plan has been published with key actions to maximise the range of benefits that woodlands bring to the people of Scotland. Announcing the new plan, Environment Minister Mary McCallan said, "We have big ambitions with forestry, and to achieve our goals we must work collaboratively. Key to this is ensuring that forestry fits with other land uses and that we plant the right trees in the right places. People and communities must also be at the forefront of our efforts to tackle climate change, and we will strive to ensure that no one is left behind or unfairly disadvantaged. This new implementation plan sets out the key forestry actions required to help us achieve this. Some of the actions to be taken forward in partnership include supporting farmers and crofters to realise the benefits of tree planting, promoting the use of new wood-based products that can support the decarbonisation of other industries, scoping and establishment of a technical training hub, establishing a national register for ancient woodlands and encouraging owners to protect and improve their condition, developing and implementing a framework to help forestry support community wealth building, identifying and pursuing opportunities to decarbonise Scotland's wood supply chain, and promoting the opportunities for people to engage in woodland-based activities to improve mental and physical well-being. Asda is on a roll with cancer campaign. Asda has announced it is to add signs and symptoms of bowel cancer to all its popular shades and Just Essential toilet roll packaging in response to the Bowel Cancer UK's hashtag #GetOnARoll campaign. The retailer has teamed up with Bowel Cancer UK to include the potentially life-saving information, together with a QR code for customers to find out more on its own label popular shades and Just Essential ranges from early autumn. Asda sells over a whopping 42 million packs a year to households across the UK. In addition, Asda is donating £50,000 to the charity to help fund future initiatives to save lives and improve the quality of life for everyone affected by bowel cancer. Bowel cancer is the UK's 4th most common cancer and the 2nd biggest cancer killer. Yet almost half of adults around the UK could not name a single symptom of bowel cancer in a recent survey. Red flag symptoms include changes in bowel habit and bleeding from your bottom and or blood in your poo, which can all be noticed while people are on the toilet. Knowing the symptoms to look out for and acting on them can lead to a bowel cancer being diagnosed at an earlier stage when it is easier to treat and even cure. Sarah York, buying manager household, said, "We are delighted to announce that we are joining the hashtag #GetOnARoll campaign, supporting with our on-pack awareness on our popular own brand toilet roll ranges. We are also making a £50,000 donation to the charity to help fund future initiatives. Spotting signs early is so important, so anything we can do to raise awareness is crucial."
Green-fingered communities to benefit. The Central Scotland Green Network Growing Food Together Fund is once again offering a cash boost to community growing projects across Scotland. Supported by the Scottish Government, projects can apply for part of the £100,000 fund that aims to foster community engagement in growing and learning about food, as well as promoting healthy eating and outdoor exercise. The Green Action Trust, a leading environmental regeneration charity, is managing the fund as part of its work to drive forward the delivery of the Central Scotland Green Network. Following the success of last year's fund, the Green Action Trust is again expanding the application criteria to welcome applications from across Scotland. Community growing projects are a key part of creating an environment that allows Scotland and its people to thrive. The Trust is particularly interested in applications that fit community growing into Scotland's recovery from the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic and deliver aspirations to become a good food nation. Marie Goujon, Cabinet Secretary for Rural Affairs and Islands, said, quote, "These projects are a key way in which the people of Scotland can enjoy a wide range of social, community, health and environmental benefits. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic can still be felt, and it is more important than ever that people can continue to access green spaces and growing projects, which are crucial in promoting healthy physical and mental well-being. This funding is a fantastic opportunity for people of all ages to get involved in community growing spaces and enjoy the health benefits these projects can provide." End quote. Warning on giant hogweed by Maura Cook. People across Scotland are being warned of the dangers of giant hogweed, a toxic plant that can cause severe skin blisters, burns, and even blindness. Nature Scot and Care of Burns in Scotland managed clinical network issued the warning ahead of the school summer holidays, when people, particularly children, are most likely to be exploring the outdoors. Giant hogweed sap contains a toxic chemical which sensitizes the skin to sunlight and causes severe blisters, resulting in burns which can be serious and long-lasting. Every year, gardeners, walkers, children and animals are hurt by the plant. Not native to Scotland, giant hogweed is widespread across the central and eastern parts of the country. It is commonly found along riverbanks, on waste ground and beside roads and train tracks. Native Scots Invasive Species Policy Manager Stan Whitaker said, quote, "It is really important for people to be able to recognise giant hogweed so they can avoid potentially serious injury. Thankfully, the plant is relatively easy to identify when fully grown due to its enormous size of between 2 and 4 meters tall, with large white clusters of flowers up to 80 centimeters wide. Its leaves are very large and sharply divided and can be over 1 meter across, while the stems are green with purple blotches and covered with bristly hairs." End quote. Eleanor Robertson, Senior Clinical Research Fellow at NHS Greater Glasgow and Clyde, said, quote, "This plant, although impressive to look at, is best avoided and reported to your local council. If you do come into contact with the plant, you must cover the affected area to block sunlight, then thoroughly wash the area to remove the sap. Should redness or blistering occur, you should seek medical help." End quote. Meanwhile, dog walkers are also being urged to keep their pets away from the giant hogweed, as it is harmful to animals as well as humans. Anyone who spots giant hogweed growing on amenity land such as parks, playing fields, footpaths or road verges is urged to report it to the local authority. Article by Maura Cook.
1 month left to renew tax credits. Some 323,700 customers are yet to renew their tax credits ahead of the deadline, with HM Revenue and Customs, HMRC, reminding them to do so by July the 31st, or their payments will stop. Tax credits help working families with targeted financial support, so it's important that customers renew before the deadline to ensure they don't miss out on money they're entitled to. Customers can renew their tax credits for free via gov.uk or the HMRC app. Renewing the online is quick and easy. Customers can log into gov.uk to check on the progress of the renewal, be reassured it's been processed, and no one will hear back from HMRC. Myrtle Lloyd, HMRC's Director General for Customer Services, said, "There's just 1 month to go for our tax credit customers to renew. It's easy to do online or on the HMRC app. Search tax credits on gov.uk. District News. Churches. Kirkintilloch Church of God. The usual Sunday Good News service at Regent Hall, Regent Street, has been postponed for the time being. We are still continuing our Zoom services on Sunday evenings at 6:30pm. The speaker this Sunday will be Tony Smith. A warm welcome to everyone who is able to join us on Zoom. Access details for the stream can be obtained by emailing hello@regenthall.org. Coffee Corner is now closed for the summer and will reopen in September. For up-to-date and further information on our services, visit our website on www.regenthall.org. The Bible says, God did not send his one and only Son into the world to condemn the world, but to save the world through him. John 3 verse 17. St Columba's Hillhead Church. St Columba's and Hillhead churches have now united to form St Columba's Hillhead Church, with services, groups and activities continuing at both sites. Do join us for our Sunday morning service at St Columba's at a new earlier time of 10am or at Hillhead at 11:30am. Tea, coffee and juice will be served after the service at St Columba's and before the service at Hillhead. We'd be really glad to have you join with us. If you can't come to our service in person, you can still connect with us by live stream from St Columba's via www.kirkintillochstcolumbas.org.uk or by searching for St Columba's Kirkintilloch on YouTube. We have also a full programme of events during the week. Please see www.kirkintillochstcolumbas.org.uk for more details. Reverend Philip Wright Minister, St Columba's Hillhead Church, Oldale Road, Kirkintilloch, G66 3HQ and 2 Rosebank Avenue, Kirkintilloch, G66 2PR. P. Wright at churchofscotland.org.uk. Mobile 07427 623 393. Lenzie Church of Scotland Joint Summer Services. July the 10th and July the 17th at Lenzie Old Parish Church, led by Reverend Lewis McLennans, July 24th, July 31st, and August the 7th at Lenzie Union Parish Church, led by Reverend Dan Carmichael. All services start at 11am. All welcome. St David's Memorial Park Church. At St David's Memorial Park Church, our morning service on July the 10th will be at our usual time of 10:30am and will be led by your Church of Scotland reader, John Nicholson. During our morning worship, school-aged children will have the opportunity to go through the halls for their own time of fun and learning with jam. All are welcome to attend the service. There are some COVID measures still in place, however the wearing of face masks is not mandatory at this time. We look forward to welcoming you to the church. Our Tuesday lunchtime services have now come to end until after the summer months. Further information on when these resume will be given at a later date. Springfield Cambridge Church. Morning worship on Sunday, July the 10th, will be led by Reverend Dean Taylor and Assistant Minister Rev Edson Duque de Castro at 11am in the sanctuary. The Sunday School joins us for the beginning of the service before continuing with their own activities in the Springfield Hall. The creche will be happy to look after your child, birth to 3 years, in room 2. Morning worship has also been live streamed on the Springfield Cambridge Church YouTube channel. A link to this can be found on the Springfield Cambridge Church website, www.springfieldcambridge.org.uk, and Facebook page, where up-to-date information about events and church organisations can also be found. Tea and coffee is available after the service and in the Cambernon Hall. Come along and enjoy the fellowship. There will be a vestry hour on Wednesday, July the 6th, from 10am to 11am. There will be a short weekly service of worship in the Springfield Church on Wednesday, July the 6th, from 11:10am to 11:30am. Colston Wellpark Church. As normal, our morning service is at 11am, led by Reverend Leslie Grieve, with tea and coffee served in the hall after the service. During the summer break, The food bank remains open every Friday and Monday from 2pm to 4pm. The July Bible study will be starting on Wednesday, July the 6th, for 4 weeks at 7:30pm to 9pm. All organisations and groups are closed for the summer and hopefully will be restarting in the new session at the end of August/September. Follow our church services on Facebook at Colston Wellswell Park Parish Church, and if you require further information on any of our church activities, contact Leslie Grieve on 07813 255 052. Kenmure Parish Church. George and Sheena Reid will lead us on our Sunday morning worship this week, beginning at 11am. The service will be followed by a time of fellowship, teas and coffees in the hall. Seating restrictions and the need to wear masks while at worship have finally been removed. However, for those who would still prefer to be socially spaced, we are reserving the pews on the right hand side. The wearing of masks we leave to our personal choice throughout the sanctuary. The service will be live streamed on YouTube and can be found by searching for Kenmure Bishopbriggs. Details of all of our groups that are currently running may be found on the website kenmure-church.co.uk. To find us on Facebook, just search for Kenmure Parish Church. If you would like to join our WhatsApp group or receive the Bible studies from ABC, then email us at kenmurechurch@icloud.com. Milton of Campsie Church. We're back in the building. No need to book. If you sit in the centre aisle, there is no need to wear a mask. If you sit in the side aisles, please wear one. Next Sunday, July the 10th, we welcome our friends from Campsie Church for a joint service. We will continue our summer sermon series entitled Action Stations. Our station will be another Antioch, where Barnabas and Paul worked together. Barnabas was an encourager. Send a pic of yourself with a word made from any of the letters of encourager. The phone number for a dial-in service which enables you to hear Sunday's service, just dial 01360 545 345. Time to pray does not meet for the next 6 Wednesdays, but please continue to pray at home. UR-Aid. Our Ukrainian family have now arrived. See the UR-Aid donation box in the church. We're also exploring other ways of helping. If you'd like to be involved, contact Phyllis on 07582 713 463. Go Mad planning is now underway. No planning meeting this week. Please see Phyllis for more info. 07583 713 463. Go Mad takes place in Milton of Campsie from July the 31st to August the 11th. Look out for more details. Now only 4 weeks to go. District News General. Outing to Falkland Palace. Kirkintilloch Horticultural Society held a successful annual general meeting in May, which was well attended, with charges to the committee duly formalised. Members then enjoyed socialising over cheese and wine and are now looking forward to our summer outing to Falkland Place. This trip will take place on Saturday, July the 9th, when a bus has been organised to leave Lenzie Station at 9:30am and subsequently leave Falkland Palace around 4pm for the return journey. This outing is open to all non-members too, so anyone wishing to find out more details about this trip, please get in touch with Paul Malcolm on 0141 578 1250 for more details. All welcome. Samaritans Awareness. Anyone struggling to cope has been urged to call Samaritans, whose volunteers are available to listen around the clock. Amid a time of uncertainty and a cost of living crisis, the charity, which aims to reduce the instances of suicide and self-harm, is highlighting the power of talking as part of its Talk to Us awareness campaign, which launched this month. Its 19 branches in Scotland, as well as those from across the UK and Ireland, will mark Samaritans Awareness Day on Sunday, July the 24th, and spread the message that trained listening volunteers can be reached 24/7 every day of the year on the Samaritans free phone line, as well as by email and post. Talking can really help, said Claire, a listening volunteer. It helps lots of people. Samaritans get lots of calls from people who are struggling to cope, and it can really give you the space to clear your mind, talk everything through that's bothering you. It's a safe space and available to anyone at any time. Samaritans are here to listen, and it can only help, so I would really consider it. Samaritans is an easy place to reach out to. It's free to call. Heart of the Matter: Family Graduations and Celebrations by Dr. Frank Dunn. Summertime has sneaked up on us and it really feels like it's already autumn. I've had my share of family events over the past few weeks, events which would have been very different or non-existent during COVID. On a sad note, I attended the funeral of two special individuals. One was a retired GP who was in my year at medical school. He had always struck me as a man of principle, and this was emphasised in his eulogy. He worked with a missionary hospital in South Africa in the early 1970s. He bravely expressed his views on the abhorrent apartheid regime, and this led to him being asked to leave. He came home and served with distinction as a GP for many years in Guruk. The second had been a patient for many years and was a member of a family with which I had close links. By all criteria, he should not have survived anywhere near his final age. His love of his family and life were key factors in living as long as he did. On a happier note, my wife and I had a weekend in Sligo at my nephew's silver wedding. My nephew and his wife are consultant physicians at Sligo, and it was interesting to note that the health service in Ireland has similar challenges to that in the UK. Indeed, acute heart attack patients have to be transported to a heart centre 2 hours away by ambulance for state-of-the-art treatment. Helicopters are sometimes required for such transfers. We returned home and celebrated our 43rd wedding anniversary, which coincided with my graduation week from university with the degree of M.Phil. This related to my thesis in the former doctor and author A.G. Cronin and the influence of his key novel The Citadel on the founding of the NHS. I had great support in the conduct of the thesis from many people, and it was such a great diversion during the lockdown. That did prevent me, however, from mixing with my co-students and savouring the atmosphere around the uni. It was a memorable graduation day, and I was nearly not allowed in the graduates' entrance, as they presumed I was an attending grandparent. This was understandable, as I was at least 50 years older than the other Scottish literary graduates. It was quite a month, as my 5-year-old grandson Harry had also been roped up for his graduation from nursery, and was rewarded by a visit to Hamleys. I declined such an award. Help for Ukraine. Funding of £65 million has been provided by the Scottish Government as part of the UK's military aid for Ukraine. It will make up part of the £1 billion being provided for state-of-the-art equipment, including sophisticated air defence systems and thousands of pieces of vital kit for Ukrainian soldiers. This follows £4 million in financial aid provided by the Scottish Government for humanitarian assistance for Ukraine, and a further £3 million worth of medical supplies. Finance Secretary Kate Forbes said, "Scotland has been clear from the start that we condemn Russia's unprovoked, illegal invasion of Ukraine. Scotland stands for democracy, human rights and the rule of law at home and abroad. We have become a place of refuge and sanctuary for displaced people from Ukraine, and have done all we can to help those fleeing the country to escape the violence. This further funding is to assist Ukrainian armed forces to fight Russian aggression and the unspeakable brutality being perpetrated. We have agreed to provide funding on this occasion, given the clear need to maximise the international effort to support Ukraine. However, we are clear that this must not be seen as any kind of precedent, which leads to devolved budgets being used to help pay for clearly reserved policy areas." Freedom of information. The Scottish Government has outlined how it will improve its freedom of information (FOI) performance over the next year. A review of the case handling process will be undertaken, guidance and training extended, and improved records management practices introduced. An urgent review will also be conducted into the current case management system to explain how the required functionality and reporting requirements can be delivered. The plan, which has been submitted to the Scottish Information Commissioner for approval, follows the third progress report into the Government's FOI performance as part of the Scottish Information Commissioner's intervention published in May. George Adam, Minister for Parliamentary Business, said, "The Scottish Government recognises that freedom of information plays a critical role in ensuring that openness and transparency underlies effective governance. Our FOI environment has changed profoundly. We are now handling 40% more requests each year than 3 years ago, 4,200 in 2021. A response rate of 86% over that time is around the Scottish average, but we want to do better, and this improvement plan set out how we're going to achieve that. We continue to work closely with the Commissioner and his team and appreciate the constructive approach to this process." Fearless Campaign. A young charity is appealing to young people to be safe, be kind and be fearless this summer. Fearless.org has launched its annual summer safety campaign in partnership with Network Rail. Coinciding with the start of the school summer holidays, the campaign will focus on key prevention messages covering a range of topics to help young people stay safe, whether they're at home, travelling away for the day, or on holiday. Using digital animations that will appear across Snapchat and TikTok, the campaign will also see posters and flyers distributed at summer events across Scotland. Fearless.org, which is part of charity Crime Stoppers, guarantees total anonymity and, like Crime Stoppers, is totally independent of the police. It takes information anonymously and passes it on. Main messages promoted directly to young people in the summer are: be safe, take care and look out for your mates, be kind, think how your actions will impact on others, be fearless, speak up about crime 100% anonymously at fearless.org. Fearless.org and Crime Stoppers are not the police. In an emergency, always call 999. Lots of jobs available. Hundreds of jobs are up for grabs this summer in Scotland. Work available ranges from merchandising, warehousing and field marketing to hospitality, retail and cleaning. Many of the job roles are being driven by the growing demand from customers shopping online at the staycation boom. Job hotspots around Scotland include Edinburgh, Inverness, Paisley and Perth, but there are roles available in most areas of the country. Jobs include temporary and full-time warehouse operatives, warehouse pick and pack work, delivery drivers, chefs, waiting staff and housekeepers. Find out about jobs available at www.redwigwam.com.
Family announcements. Deaths. William (Bill) Best passed away peacefully at Springvale Care Home on Wednesday, June 29th, 2022, aged 102. Dearly beloved husband of the late Catherine Best, much loved brother and brother-in-law, uncle, great-uncle, and great-great-uncle of multiple nieces and nephews, and a special friend and neighbour to many. He will be sorely missed. All Bill's friends and family are deeply appreciative of the care and kindness received at Primrose Wing of Springvale Care Home over the last 3 years of his exceptionally long life, especially in supporting him at his many celebrations around his 100th birthday. Fortified by rites of Holy Church, RIP. Reception and vigil on Thursday, July 14th, 2022, at St Paul's RC Church, Milton Acampsey, G66 8BU. Funeral Mass on Friday, July 15th, 2022, for 10 a.m. Thereafter to Cantor Cemetery, G64 2QG, for 11:30 a.m. Donations, if desired, to Schoenstatt Sisters of Mary and Marie Curie Hospice. For further information and timing for reception vigil, please contact Co-op Funeral Care, Kirkintilloch, on telephone number 0141 776 2273. Tony, Keogh. It was with great sadness that the family announced the passing of Tony, who died peacefully after a short illness surrounding his family on June 29th, 2022, at Marie Curie Hospice. A much-loved dad to Daniel and Hannah,
granddad and beloved brother. He will be deeply missed by his friends and family. Funeral service will take place on Thursday, July 7th, 2022, at Daldowie Crematorium for 3:45 p.m. Family flowers only please, donations if desired to Marie Curie Hospice /RAMH. George Walls. Peacefully on June 4th, 2022, at Springvale Care Home. Beloved husband of late Connie, a much-loved dad of Aileen, George and Yvonne, and an adored pappy of Chloe, Cara, Dion, Lee and Gregor. Funeral service to take place on Tuesday, June 28th, 2022 at Falkirk Crematorium. In Memoriam. Lynn Gibson. In memory of Lynn, died 4th of July 1972, aged 2.5 years. Our hearts still ache with sadness, our secret tears still flow. For what it meant to lose you, no one will ever know. Mum and Dad, kiss. Billy Thompson. In memory of our loving son, brother and uncle, died July 5th, 2021. We think about you always, we talk about you too. We have so many wishes, but we wish we still had you. Forever in our hearts, Mum, Dad, Sandra, James, David and families. Billy Thompson died July 5th, 2021, aged 52. Treasured memories of my nephew Billy. When you were small, I held your hand, but now I keep your memories in my heart. You were such a brave soldier taken away too early. Auntie Christine and Uncle Billy, kiss, kiss, kiss. Fly high, Billy. From cousins William and Christine and family. Kiss, kiss, kiss. Public notices. Planning notices. East Dunbartonshire Council public notices. The East Dunbartonshire Council, Gleneagles Gardens, Bishopbriggs, temporary closure, Order 2022. On the 5th of July 2022, the East Dunbartonshire Council made the above-named order under Section 14(1) of the Road Traffic Regulation Act 1984 as amended, which makes it unlawful for any person to drive or cause or permit to be driven any motor vehicle, with the exception of emergency service vehicles, vehicles engaging in the works, and those vehicles requiring access to properties adjacent to the closed section of road when it is safe and practical to do so, on Gleneagles Gardens, Bishopbriggs, between its junctions with Athol Gardens and Gleneagles Drive, by reasons of works being executed on or near this road. This order will operate from 800 hours on Monday the 18th of July 2022 until 1600 hours on Sunday the 31st of July 2022. Alternative route. Alternative routes for vehicles are by way of Gleneagles Drive, Hilton Road, Athol Gardens, Lomond Drive, Melville Gardens and Gleneagles Gardens, and these routes will be signposted. Internal division routes will also be signposted. SGD, Karen Donnelly, Chief Solicitor and Monitoring Officer, Legal Services, East Dunbartonshire Council Headquarters, 12 Strathkelvin Place, Kirkintilloch, G66 1TJ. Civic Government Scotland Act 1982. Application for grant of public entertainment licence. The undernoted has applied for the grant of a public entertainment licence in the terms of the above Act. Name and address of applicant. Area 66, Glasgow Limited, 5 Burnbrae Road, Kirkintilloch, G66 3NL. Premises. Area 66, Glasgow Limited, Gartshore Road, Kirkintilloch, G66 5LW. Day-to-day manager, Andrew McCargill, 5 Burnbury Road, Kirkintilloch, G66 3NL. Type of entertainment, paintball, airsoft and archery. Dates and times of operation, Mondays to Sundays, 9am till 6pm, up to 10 nights annually, 9am till 11pm. Any objection or representations in terms of paragraph 3 brackets 1 of Schedule 1 of the Act should be logged with the undernoted no later than 28 days from the publication date of the newspaper in which this advertisement appears. Deputy Chief Executive, Education, People and Business, East Dunbartonshire Council, 12 Strathkelvin Place, Kirkintilloch, G66 1TJ. Planning applications. Format: application number, then address/location, then proposal, then type of advert, then period of reps. TP/ED/22/0363. Land adjacent to units 1 to 3 The Green, Twecker, East Dunbartonshire. Extension to existing light industrial units. Neighbour notification 21 days. TP/ED/22/0416. 19 North Bank Road, Kirkintilloch, East Dunbartonshire, G66 1EU. Formation of new driveway and access. Section 65, affecting CA, 21 days. The application plans and other documents can be viewed online through the Council's website. The current restrictions on non-essential office work associated with the coronavirus pandemic means that plans cannot be viewed in Council offices as normal. Written comments may be made within the above period to the Council through the Council's website or to the above address. Any representations will be treated as public documents and made available for inspection by interested parties, and may also be published on the Council's website. Champ Curler calls it a day. Article written by Ian McLean. Article read by myself, Corey. Reigning Scottish champion and Grand Slam winning skip Ross Patterson has made the decision to end his playing career with the British curling programme. The Kirkintilloch 38-year-old has proven himself one of the most versatile performers in the British game over the past 2 decades, since emerging from his old village club in Lochgoilhead. Then going on to win the Scottish Junior title and World Junior Championship bronze medal. At senior level, he enjoyed early tour success, including victories at Perth Masters and Edinburgh International in a lineup skipped by Dave Edwards, but he was forced to step away from the national squad for a period in his 20s after university, when he started his career in trading standards. His skills remained in demand, and he played at the European Championships in 2010 in a team featuring no fewer than 3 former world champions: Hammy McMillan Sr., Dave Smith, and Dave Murdoch. On the back of that, he got another opportunity to join the increasingly professional British curling setup in 2011, going on to further successes, including winning a first Scottish men's title in 2016 before taking the opportunity to lead his own team during the last Olympic cycle. I made this decision to get back into the British curling setup when Soren Gran came in as head coach, and I had an opportunity to play with Dave Murdoch, and we won another playoff to go to a European Championship in 2011, Patterson explained. From there, I played in teams with Logan Gray, then Soren Gran, assembled a team with Tom Brewster, Glenn Muirhead and Hammy McMillan Jr. Thomas Muirhead and myself as a 5-man team, and we have won a lot of things on tour. At the end of that cycle, we were disappointed not to be involved in the Olympics in 2018. And from there, I was in my early 30s and wanted to be the master of my own destiny, if I could. And I was lucky to get the support to have a team with the British curling as skip. That brought immediate success when he, Kel Waddle, Duncan Menzies, and 2014 Sochi Olympic silver medalist Michael Goodfellow beat defending champions Team Mont in what was to date the only all-Scottish final at a Grand Slam of curling event in Canada. The Slam is always going to be a standout moment, not just because it was the first of all-Scottish final against Team Mont, who had won last year before, but because it was my first season as skip. So to enjoy that success so early was obviously amazing, said Patterson. It's one of the things I always look back on fondly. There have been disappointments not in being able to tick off some of the targets that were on my list, including going to the Olympics, but I've also ticked off a lot of things I maybe wouldn't have dreamed of 10 years ago. I think I've got to see a balance in that, and understand that only very few people manage in elite sport to do that. That's all part of it, and I'm at peace with the decision I've made. It's the right time. Patterson is also swift to acknowledge the support he has received to allow him to chase his dreams. The other part of having the career I've had, and the age difference between me and other members of the squad, shows how lucky I've been with my support network, my family, friends, and especially my wife, Sarah, who has been prepared to help push me on to try to achieve those goals, he said. I've also been really lucky with my employers at East Barnshire Council, who have encouraged me and allowed me to train and compete as much as I have. Without that setup, it would have been impossible for me to do that. I'm also hugely grateful to all the coaching staff on and off the ice, the medical, physio and strength and conditioning specialists, and all the support at the British Curling, as well as to UK Sport and the National Lottery for providing us with the funding to allow us to prepare and compete the way we do. That article written by Ian McLean. Maya wins in doubles on bow at Wimbledon. Lindsay tennis player Maya Lumsden enjoyed a winning debut at Wimbledon last week, just a few months after fearing her career would be over. Lumsden has only been back in action for a few weeks, after recovering from long COVID, which sidelined her for 18 months and threatened her future in the sport. Scottish number 1 Lumsden lost out in the qualifying tournament in London SW19, beaten 6-3, 6-2 by Liechtenstein's Kathrinka von Deichmann. However, the 24-year-old and playing partner Naiktha Baines were given a wild card entry into the women's doubles, and they justified their inclusion with a 6-1, 7-5 win over Italian pair Jasmine Paolini and Martina Trevisan in their first round match. In the second round, though, Lumsden and Bairns were up against number 8 seeds Shuka Aoyama of Japan and Hyo Xingchan of Chinese Taipei, who defeated them 6-1, 6-4. Amelia lands title double in first year. A Lennoxtown youngster has completed a remarkable first season in competitive gymnastics, which has seen her land both Scottish and British titles. Amelia Davidson, a P5 pupil at Lennoxtown Primary, only joined the Dynamic Gymnastics Academy, based at the Raven Craigs National Sports Complex in Motherwell in July last year. But the 10-year-old's first competitive year in acrobatics in partnership with colleague Neve Grant from Newt Hill couldn't have gone any better. In January, Amelia and Neve struck gold for the first time in 2022, when they won the Young Women's Pairs gold medal at the Acrobatic Pat Wade Classic at Stoke-on-Trent. The next month, they enjoyed similar success in the Young Women's Pairs at the Spilthorne Academic Cup in Middlesex. And they emerged victorious again in March with another gold, this time at the Scottish Championship in Perth. Their success means Amelia and Neve were selected to represent Scotland at the British Championships, and once again they saw off all their rivals to win the gold medal. The pair were also selected to join the Scottish Gymnastics Development Performance Pathway programme last August. Gymnastics success is something which runs in the family for Amelia, who trains for over 20 hours a week. Elder brother Angus, 14, also competes in acrobatics with the Dynamic Gymnastics Academy, and has won Scottish Championships and a British bronze.
Thank you for listening to this week's Kirkintilloch Herald podcast, brought to you by Q&A Review, print speaking to the blind. If you've any feedback, you're welcome to call us on 0141 772 3976. If you enjoyed this recording, feel free to subscribe to our channel.